Hello, I would like to inform you that what you're about to listen to are our views and comments from the host and guests that only reflect their own view and not the community's as a whole. You're also committing to hire us at some point in the future, whether or not you want to or you like our work. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And Eddie, play the banter section. Can I just apologise formally on your banter podcast section, by the way, for the amount of fucking messages I've had about you, because I filmed a video with some other people. And they said, call out any cosplayers, like your cosplay nemesis. And I said, anyone who cosplays Harley Quinn. Because I mean it. I do just mean it. There were too many. Like 2019, there were too many. And I had 4 to 6 messages from different people. And people like Nick, who was there in person, saying, did you say that just to get Eddie? So now I do. I didn't at the time. But now it's directly aimed at you.
I take that target and just smother it. Tag me in it on that. Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh.
I just meant it as like a hate comment, but now apparently I'm specifically hating on you. That's fine.
That's not a problem. You'll join the queue.
Alrighty.
Hello everybody, it's the Ed Talk About Podcast, a weekly podcast talking about cosplay, Comic-Con, and everything else. I'm your host, Eddie, and this week we are talking about why is everyone angry at MCM London? Why? Joining us on the podcast is Luna from Askaluna. Yeah, I've got that right.
Askaluna, yeah.
Yeah, Askaluna. Why did I get that wrong? And then we've got Harley Quinn. Not Harley Quinn. No, not Harley Quinn. We've got Charlotte from Charlotte Woolrich Photography. Hello to you both.
Boo.
Hi.
Right. If you didn't put your name down as Harley Quinn on my screen, I wouldn't mention it.
I just wanted to make your day, Eddie, and it's just really easy
to do. Say that thing that makes me happy. Go on.
What is it? G'day, Puddin'?
No!
Australian Harley Quinn.
It's Hi Puddin'.
Hi, Puddin'.
Oh.
I'm not a voice actor for a reason. I can do nothing except sound slightly posher than I actually am. And I don't think that's her. From memory, she's not that posh.
She's not that posh. No, she's not. No, she's a bit. She's educated quite highly because obviously she becomes a.
She is a doctor.
Yeah, she's a doctor.
But she's got high pitched voice, but she's got an accent definitely.
But to be fair, she also cheated her way to the top. So let's not go down that
line. An icon. Sorry, I mean, oh no.
Oh jeez. Anyway, well, I mean, if you've heard just my guess, and we're going to be talking about like why everyone seems to be angry at, MCM London, and I know I've done a review that just came out last week or the last episode, depending on your perspective. But I felt like there's so much anger behind it. This needs to be a whole little topic, and it was going to be one little thing, but I think this needs to encompass everything else as well. So we might cover some ground from the previous podcast that my other guest at the time, it was Lele Cosplay and Vaughn of the Dead mentioned, but we've got two fresh guests, so we're going to be talking about that. So on that note, we are going to do some health check first. So Luna, how's the last 7 days for you?
Busy! I go from Comic-Con and sewing lastminute.com, because that's always me, straight into Download Festival on Wednesday. So busy.
Right, whose fault is that?
Oh, it's always mine. May is chaotic at the best of times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's June now.
It's all May.
So
you're saying don't matter.
So you're saying May lasts 61 days?
For me, it does, yes.
To be fair, a lot of people considered 2020 lasting 36 months.
Very true. But yeah, it's an amazingly fun couple of weeks. It's just chaos.
Just chaos. Absolute chaos. And before I bring Charlotte in, why didn't you come find me at MCM London? I
tried. Literally, the entire reason I was outside was because I was like, if I stay here, I'm inevitably going to have Eddie run past me. And like an hour and a half later, I was like, I can feel my back cooking. And I put 2 layers of Factor 50 on, and I'm still sunburnt today. That's how badly I got burnt. So I was like, I'm going to have to go inside.
Does that mean you had a factor 100 or just...
No, you have to reapply Factor 50 every 50 minutes. That's what the number's for.
Okay, then. All right, no, I thought I'd put some dumb math behind that, but clearly it wasn't that dumb. Anyway, Charlotte, how are you? How are the last 7 days for you?
I've mainly been sleeping because I also did lastminute.com sewing before con, and I was so sleep deprived afterwards. But yeah, and this is the first free weekend I've had for such a long time, so I'm just enjoying tidying and doing nothing of import except this. So hire me. Thanks. We've got free time now. Hire me. Moving on.
I love that you still throw in your tagline in every time you're on. Do you use that phrase in any other line of work or any conversation?
Yeah, I've quite literally been at like expensive corporate events and said it unironically. Like people will talk to me and I'll go, yeah, I'm a professional photographer. Hire me, and then just look them dead in the eye and say nothing else. And then they go, oh, can I have your contact information? Because they get awkward, and then they hire you. Shameless. You have to be shameless because everyone else in that room 100% is like, oh, okay, I kind of respect that.
Do they respect that?
I've got a jobs offer, so I mean, I went to Paris with Andy because of it, so it seems to work.
I mean, you got to thank someone for that.
Thank you, Andy, for taking me to Paris.
No! Damn it. Damn you. Anyway.
Thank you, Eddie, for introducing me to Andy. Took me to Paris.
Not a problem. That sounded like that was a date thing.
Yeah, it does, actually.
Yeah. Was it a date?
I don't know, but we did go on a moonlit walk to the Eiffel Tower whilst discussing Blackadder and classic comedy, so maybe.
Just to say, just in case his wife is listening.
It wasn't a date.
It wasn't a date. We're just messing.
We are messing. I told him I wanted to see the Eiffel Tower, and Andy quite rightly was like, "You're gonna get fucking lost." so Andy very nicely offered to show me like the little triangle of Arch Tree of Eiffel Tower. Yeah. So I felt like I'd seen the sights without getting murdered or killed, which was great fun.
Indeed. Right. Okay. Well, if anyone's interested in my little life,
yeah, what have you been doing?
I've been suffering with hay fever. Now, this is entirely my fault. I totally understand this is my fault. I'm not asking for sympathy. But for about a week or so, maybe 3, I've been suffering with hay fever. And every day I keep saying to myself, when I finish work, go to Boots, buy some antihistamine, and then take them at night so that it kicks in the morning. Every day I forget. Every day I forget until today. Today's Saturday. And I only just remember to go, oh yeah, now I'm in Boots. I'll get some antihistamine. But I never know which type to get. So I think I've switched brands or switched medication, antihistamine, and then see if that works or not. So I've taken it now. I might take another one before I go to sleep and then see how well it goes. So if you hear a lot of sniffling, it's not because of COVID or I've got a cold or anything like that. It's definitely hay fever.
Fair play.
Yeah. So we are going to be talking about why is everyone angry at MCM. Now, like I said, some of this was mentioned in the previous podcast, but I've seen so many videos now, mainly on TikTok, how a lot of people are just having a right go at MCM London. And I'm not here to defend all of it. I just want to discuss it. As we say, there's a disclaimer at the beginning of this podcast, which I don't know if I'm going to use Charlotte's voice for this one or not. Because that freaks you.
I was telling my mum about that earlier.
You're like, when did I do that? You did that for me.
You didn't ask me to do it for your podcast. We were doing it as a joke, and then I clicked.
No, I did ask you to do that for my podcast.
I thought it was a joke at the time. I thought you were like, what if? Because I was copying Andy, it did a really posh accent, so I genuinely just thought I was like pissing about. Then I clicked on it, and I was like, fucking hell, that girl sounds like me. And then I realised it was me. Genuinely, my first thought was, I've got to ask Eddie who that is because she sounds weirdly like me. And then I was like, oh, that's me doing my slightly posher accent.
Anyway, as I was saying, there's a disclaimer at the beginning that what we're saying is just our views. We're just sharing out for people to listen to. There's maybe a lot of things we say in this that you think, no, you're absolutely talking total bullshit, which is fine. You're allowed your own opinions as long as you accept our opinions as well. We're not saying you're right, you're wrong. We're just sharing our opinions on some of the things that I've seen on TikTok, which I just want to talk about and discuss about. So I've always said these podcasts is just an open discussion about things I see in the Comic-Con or cosplay community, and that's really it. I'm not asking for an argument and saying you're right, you're wrong. It's just we're just talking out loud. So I think the one thing I want to talk about I think from the top of the list is that I think a lot of people saw this just before MCM London opened up, which was the dates for October MCM London came out with the price. and again, we mentioned this, I've mentioned this in the previous podcast, but I want to get my views from these two guests. And it's the price has now gone up to it's technically £95. So MCM apparently will say no, it's £95 including VAT tax, £95. But you still got to buy. You still got it comes with like the admin fee, which I have no idea what the admin fee really means, and posting and packaging. So I want to ask, and I'll start with Charlotte with this. Charlotte with this one. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, can you hear that?
Yeah.
They're coming after me. I'm going to carry on because I need the windows open because it's pretty stuffy in here. I want to start with Charlotte. What's your view on the price increase to £95?
So we discussed this a lot over the weekend while we were there, which I think was quite good with a friend. So we basically went inside and we stood there and looked at stuff. And what we were saying, you could justify a price hike if there was more tangible stuff for people, even if it wasn't stuff that like we did. Because I obviously as a photographer spend a lot of time outside. And from what we can see is it's getting more expensive every year and there's less stuff and it's less convenient, which is where I have an issue with it. Because they can set the prices, fine, sure. But they specifically said across their social media is to improve things for you, and we're not seeing it. So the biggest one was we went inside and they'd halved the amount of seating they normally have where the food trucks are, and there were fewer food trucks. Which you're like, sure, but if you're claiming that this is a better and bigger con than last year, why is there less like comfort stuff or just seating space for people?
Oh, so when you mean by seating space, and you mean actual seats?
They have benches out there, and this year they had half the number of benches I saw last year.
Sorry, because I was going to come in and say, hang on, there's a whole hall where the fringe shades end up being. That's where it's like a lot of seating areas.
I think this, if you're going to take, say for argument's sake, it's an extra £15 to £20 per person coming to con, and I think we can all agree they are selling more tickets than ever since the pandemic. Stuff like having, I'd expect to see tangibly, like we've got more people coming in, or either keep the number of seats the same or increase it a bit so people have a chance to sit down, not on the floor, depending on costumes and stuff. So to see them announce the price hike and then come in and see such a tangible example of like them reducing the amount of cost they have to spend was a bit irritating. Like it was so crowded, we weren't allowed back in the front for some of the days in the west entrance, so it adds like literally like a 40-minute walk to get back in and out again, which is, you know, if you're in a costume and it's hot, is almost undoable. It was just, no. I think everything was, I'm fine with a price hike, but genuinely, where is it going? Because you're not doing, if everyone's asking you where it's going, clearly you're not doing a good job of showing everyone.
Absolutely. And I mentioned this in the last podcast that I said, I think because I said something about we called it the good, and bad, and the ugly. And part of it was saying, look, I found in the good part, actually felt like there's more stores. There was a lot of independent stalls there. The bad, that there was no big corporate stuff there. But the other thing I said bad was that there's no like free swag. Yeah. And I think if there was like free swag per se to like pick up, like the only free swag I can think of that you can take were those yellow bags, and that was it. If there's something like lanyards, there was something I forgot to mention in the last part. Did you know there was a treasure hunt?
Yeah.
No?
Who said yes and who said no?
Luna said yes. Yeah, it was sent out in the email a couple of weeks beforehand, and it was all over the app.
Yeah, so I totally missed that. And so clearly Charlotte as well. So, but what I was going to say, it's like, I get what you're saying about the price hike. It does feel like, it you know, they're asking more, and it seems like we're getting less. But I think I said this in the podcast extra. We don't know who's asking for this price hike. It could be a combination of, yes, Repop being greedy, but also the Excel is also maybe going, shit, our electricity prices has skyrocketed. We need to somehow cover that price as well. Hey, Repop, we're raising your rent. So it could be some of that you know, increase in price has been passed on to us.
I think we prefer transparency. This is what my friend said, and she's very wise sometimes, like very occasionally. But she did say, she said, which I thought was really good. She said, I wish they were transparent because all they're doing is like skirting around the questions on social media. And if they said we lost a lot of money, which they did after the first one back, they said we lost a lot of money after COVID, so the prices might go up for this con. if they said, like, the venues are getting more expensive due to the electricity increase, therefore the ticket prices will reflect that, no one would have a problem with it. It's because they're claiming it's all for, like, the good of the people, without that, like, tangible evidence to go alongside it.
No, absolutely. But I just want to counter just a little bit. I think if they did say that, I still think there's going to be a core group of people that's going to go, don't believe them. They're just being grey days.
There will always be people, yeah.
Exactly. Luna, what about yourself? What's your views on the price increase?
So I took a look back historically as to what the prices for MCM were. And, May versus October has always been a difference in ticket price anyway. And they last year said they had froze the price of the tickets for a year. So we knew a price hike was coming. A £10 price hike isn't awful. And for me, I go to a lot of gigs. Right? I have to use Ticketmaster. I get an admin fee on every ticket I buy, and then a delivery cost. Even if it's an e-ticket, I still get a delivery cost.
What?
Yeah.
Damn.
But I'm so used to it. So when MCM add their fees on top, it's just part and parcel of the industry that I like to attend for gigs of music. So I don't really factor that in. I'm just like, that's just the price at the end. And it works the same as America, right? Your tax is not included in the advertised price. It's on top of that.
True. Yeah.
So, it's not MCM taking you for a ride. It's just how their system works. There's a level of understanding there that people aren't getting. And I took a look at other conventions of the same kind of scale. So New York Comic Con, which is a 4-day event, $230 for their ticket. You got Japan Expo in Paris, equal kind of size, but more of a culture festival. Damn thing is huge, right? Now, I've been to both of these events myself, and Eddie's been to New York Comic Con as well. There's more to see, sometimes more to do, but then you've got the factor in all of the travel costs and all of the hotel costs, etc. And I know the hotel costs in the UK are insane anyway. But Japan Expo was £25 for a day. If you mount that up, it's only a £10 difference to what XL is going to be charging for what is the biggest and, in my opinion, probably the best convention that we have in the UK, because nothing else lives up to it. So it's really tricky, and I understand that people are like, oh, it's too much. If you are choosing between food, bills, rent, and Comic-Con, put your life first. Comic-Con is not an essential part.
Here.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do I? Oh. No, I'm gonna resign. No. Okay, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna get hyped for this.
Go.
I truly hate the people who go, oh my god, can't afford this price hike. I mean, I can, but I don't want to. That's it. I'm not going.
Yeah.
4 months later. Oh hi.
So we saw the same thing, right? So Download Festival. It's an anniversary this year, right? So I got my ticket immediately after last year's festival, so I got early bird price. Normal price was almost £100, possibly even more than that, more than the normal ticket was last year, right? Massive increase. And we saw the same thing. People like, oh, it's not fair, we don't understand it. Still going.
Yeah.
But they'll complain through the nines, right? So it's across the board. We really have to accept that the economic crisis that we've all are living in is affecting businesses as well. We cannot expect things to stay the same price.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And again, I'm not affiliated by Repop at all. Yes, I know they give me my press pass each year, but I still think I'm free to say whatever I want. And what I'm about to bring up next, hopefully will kind of dispel this. But can we move on to something else?
I think going on to tickets, because we're basically there already.
Yeah.
Tickets? What tickets?
Industry passes and content creators.
Oh, that! Oh, I was going to go something else, but let's. Okay.
What you were going to say then? Sorry, I thought you were leading on to that.
No. We'll get to the industry pass in a minute, because that's going to be interesting. Me. I shall ignore you. I try to, but the next thing, which is, I think I'm trying to do the big three first before moving to everything else. So the next one is security. Again, this was covered in our last podcast. I mean, I'll basically, I think my takeaway from it was that, from a personal point of view, I had no issue with security. When me and Luna we're talking in the green room. She brought up something, and I went, "That's exactly what I did." And I'll let her say it in her little piece. But I'm not going to ignore what I've been hearing from like my friends, what I saw on TikTok, that a lot of people seem to have so much issues with security that they're very heavy-handed. And my only response to that was, when I said in the last podcast, was I think it's because security were expecting a certain group, but had encountered Comic-Con people, but still treated them like they were at a gig. They were looking for heavy-handed people, and in fact, they were being the heavy-handed security people. So, Luna, you say what we were saying in the green room.
Oh gosh, now I have to remember. Right, so yeah, we had no issues with security. I had one very dense one on the Friday, but it wasn't anything of an issue. I just had to tell them that I needed to head to industry, and he let me pass eventually. But we were very fortunate, right? Everyone else's accounts of security are absolutely valid and sound appalling. But you can't be a miniature Karen to them and expect them not to be mean back.
Yeah.
And sadly, people are still conflating MCM security. It's not, it's Excel security.
Yeah.
It's an Excel security firm. You can find that information out on the website. Every event that's run there, EGX, that's in October, that's Excel security as well. It's not MCM stuff. And we had a great banter with some of the security. We asked them where we could smoke, because some people were like, oh, you can't smoke by the pyramid. You can. Just very politely asked where. We asked, how can we get back in? Because we had people with accessibility needs that needed to get back in and not do the long walk. And we were fortunate enough for the guy to be very friendly and just told us where we needed to go. But there's, it's a two-way street with security.
And absolutely, and just to reiterate what I said in the last podcast, from what I heard, there were people who, with accessibility stickers, were able to get, oh, you got to, of course, come this way, take the shortcut. There were other stories that they were told, oh, even though I can see your accessibility sticker, or I can see a visual, physical disability, no, you have to go the long way around. Those, so many people came up with both of these stories doesn't mean neither of them are true or both of them are true. It's like these had to happen.
Oh yeah, and it's probably just a case of I was lucky to not encounter that member of security.
Exactly. And what we were saying, Luna, is like when I went through the door I had to go through to pick up my industry pass, and then subsequently I could use that door to get back inside. Immediately, as soon as I could see, I clocked a security guard doing the bag check. First thing I did was get my bag open, just rip up the lid, the side panel, get it ready to be seen, and the security just looked, waved me through. And this is this is the point that you were bringing up. Like, if you're nice to the security people, they will probably be nicer back. And I'm not suggesting that if you're nice and they are rude to you, you just keep on smiling. But at the same token, it's like one of you's got to have a clear head. And if you can't keep your clear head, then things will escalate. I think that's what we were saying.
Yeah, but I mean, I do 100% see other people's opinions on this, and their experiences, as I said, are 100% valid. And I feel really bad for some of them. It's like there have been definitely some instances where security have assaulted people, inappropriate touching, stuff like that. That's creepy as shit. Right? Like, I don't understand that. And that needs to be dealt with. To me, if that had happened, I'd ring the police there and then. Breaking props, it is security's job to make sure that your prop doesn't have a wood core, isn't made of metal, isn't sharp and going to inflict damage. So they are going to test the props, and it sucks if your weapon is broken, 100%. But they have a job to do. And then I've seen the other point, which is a lot of people complain that they weren't being thorough enough. Like, well, what one do you want?
I was really pleased with how thorough they were this year, because last time, I might even have done this, maybe it wasn't this podcast because it was a while ago, but right after there had been a lot of arena bombings and stuff, everyone was up in arms because they had bag check, but no one was checking the bags. They were waving me through. This is when I had a full-size camera bag. They were waving people through. They weren't checking props. It turned out like loads of people had like Nerf guns and stuff. And that, I felt unsafe because people were bragging about the fact they brought in guns. They just had that fired stuff. They just weren't bringing weapons, obviously. And now this time they checked my bag every time I went through. I had a sword on Friday that they checked properly. And although it like kind of hurts your heart to hand over a prop and have someone like kind of wave it around and flex it a bit just to see if it's safe. You're like, they have to do it, because if I've brought in a metal sword that's painted, I'm dangerous, and in order for everyone to feel safe, you have to do that. And if bad stuff happens, like if a prop breaks or something, obviously everyone's going to feel bad about that, but these security guards are seeing hundreds of people over and over again, and they have to keep us all safe. So I kind of feel quite bad for them sometimes when people are kicking off, because we're all so precious about our costumes, but their primary goal is make this massive group of people as safe as possible. But IDK.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you 100% with that. And I think part of me is thinking, if it wasn't security that like were breaking props for some whatever reason, I think the huge crowds, which we will talk about the crowds next probably, if the huge, if the security didn't would break your prop, I would have thought the large crowds would, just walking through, bumping into people and things like that. I mean, you would have to be vigilant to not get like knocked by people.
I think the main issues I've heard with like security breaking props is when is actually almost always when they've been like, tapping it on a table or something to that degree of testing it that's accidentally broken it. And when you're in a crowd of people, I find it easier to be like, well, my one thing right now is to like make sure no one touches this. Whereas when you hand it over to the security guard, and I handed over a 3D printed sword that has previously been fixed by me. So I handed it to him and I said, just so you know, this is 3D printed, so it's quite fragile, just to make sure he didn't do anything really dumb. And like he flexed it a little bit, well, didn't flex, he basically like, felt the weight of it, looked up and down, put a tag on it to say it was safe, handed it back. And I said that to make myself feel better. He did the checks he had to do. Happy days. Yeah. And then I did break my sword right at the end of the day, but that's because I decided to be an action hero and not really shit. And to be fair, the footage is great, but yeah, I think I was just really pleased that only once they didn't check my bag, and that was right at the end, but every other time they did. And I would rather be stuck in a queue of people for 5 minutes having people check bags than be in a building full of that many people in the current climate with no with no security at all.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to see how much security MCM had this year.
Again, I said this in the last podcast. I think it's because Repop have gone, we allow a lot of people to jump the fence and get in for free. We're losing money, or we need to keep enough. We need to make sure we maximize the paying public to get in. Also keep the safety up. Let's make sure. Let's get more security to make sure that those things are the status quo type of thing. But yeah, talk about jumping fences and things like that. I mean, again, are we okay to move on? Is there any last thoughts before we move on?
I'm happy.
Nope, happy to move on.
Again, a lot of people mentioned about the oversoldness, overcrowdedness and oversold are two different things. Let's talk about, okay, so the technical term I think I'm looking for is oversold. Every year, even pre and post pandemic, everyone says, oh my God, it's oversold. It was crowded. I'm like, okay, fine. All right. I get that. I was watching a TikTok, and I'm actually going to find his name actually. So I will make sure my phone is muted before before some loud noises pop up. But he was saying, and I totally, I hope I've got his pronouns right. He was saying that actually it's always been this busy. It's always been, and I've said this from year on year. Like on a Saturday, I don't go inside. Because I know how busy it's going to be. It's going to be rammed.
I would disagree. I think I think there were more people this Saturday than I've ever seen before.
What I was going to say, and I can't remember who I heard this from, but someone did say they heard security say you can't go in. It is at capacity, and I do.
So they did that last year as well, which is I think interesting because last year they stopped people going in the front, which is more obvious because it was the west entrance with the pyramid. They stopped people going in because the inside was over capacity. Now, Repop can sell as many tickets as they want, technically, I guess, because they make the assumption about how many people are going to be outside and how many people will be at the capacity inside the venue. So technically, you can sell more tickets, I guess, than the venue holds because there's always going to be 200 to 300 people minimum outside.
I found the TikToker. His name it's Giles,
Oh,
Gilles,
good old Giles.
Giles
I
Bone,
love him.
Giles Bone, and yes, their pronouns is he, him, they, and them. So I'm glad I got that correct. And he mentioned like he's the one, which I feel I agree with a bit. And he mentions that crowd has always been high anyway. I'm not gonna dismiss what Charlotte just said, like, and what I heard as well from other people that saying were told is at capacity. I don't like that. If so, they include the outdoors area as capacity as well. Fair enough.
Oh, they.
That's that's the assumption why they can do what they can do.
Oh, right,
But my issue is that then lucky May was fine, sunny, every day was good, clear day, everything like that, fine. What happens when it rains? What happens if there's a monsoon coming? You can't.
Eddie, do you not remember? We've witnessed
Oh
that.
yes, that's what I'm saying. You can't ask everyone to go inside, or you can't expect people to stay outside actually and just go, well, right, capacity, fuck you.
Last May there was a bomb threat and they had to send everyone inside. What if that had happened this Saturday and there had been a bomb threat on the grass? They would have had to move everyone down to the tube station.
Whoa! Back up! Last May.
Yeah,
there's been a few.
There's been a few. Last May I was outside, and there's a fucking great picture of me. It's a shit picture, but it's a great picture because it's me taking pictures next to the sign, and I couldn't work out why it was so empty outside. And it's because a security told me after I'd been taking pictures quite near the fence that I need to move away from the fence because they had found a suspicious package out the front. So they moved everyone back to the glass triangle and let everyone go back into the con that way. And I think it might have been a Friday, so they managed to get most people went in. Some people stayed around the triangle waiting to be let back out. If that happened this Saturday when everyone was outside, it would have been a shit show because you cannot clear an area of grass that busy of people who all will expect to go back into the con at that point so they get their tickets worth.
Hang on.
There were too many people.
I did not know this, and I was there last year, May, not October.
It was like it was maybe 40 minutes. They just cleared the whole grass area. Basically, had security come look at this thing and then clear it.
Oh, hang on. Was it a Peak Design bag with camera gear inside?
Was it you?
No comment. No, generally it wasn't me. But I mean, it did think that some person left their bag unattended. That sounds like me.
No, it's happened a few times. It's normally after, and I hate to say the correlation, but there's normally after when there's arena bombings and stuff. If there's any unattended bags and stuff, they get very obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
They get very attentive, which is great. But then if there's so many people outside, that's when it becomes. I almost got more nervous because I was like, if something bad happens, there's too many people out here and too many people in there.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. Is I don't agree that they include the outdoor space as capacity because, like I said, should there be bad weather, a threat of any kind, and you're asking either people go in or out, not being funny, you can't ask them to squeeze inside and just be happy with it, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, but that it is industry standard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is, and it happens at every other event. Like again, Luna was saying this in the group, so I'm going to let her talk about this. So you were talking about the day that Stanley appeared in London.
Yeah, so us con oldies, because I feel ancient talking about it. Literally, Earl's Court. Stanley was his last attendance in the UK. They were over capacity inside, but they expected a whole bunch of people to stay outside. The queue to get into that building looped around it 4 times in the hottest day we had that year. People were passing out in the queue. Jeez. No one could get in. It's not the only time it's happened. Just last year, we had Hyper Japan at the Kensington Olympia. Really hot day. Inside was like a sauna. People passing out left, right, and centre. So overcrowded outside, they couldn't let anybody in. They shut down the tube station because there was too many people. Excel's not the only one that has this issue. So Excel has a 20,000 people capacity limit, according to their own website, for the exhibition halls inside. So that's the amount of people they can have inside at one point. If it exceeds that, then of course they're going to stop people from getting in. And what people are expecting post COVID, and I found this when I've been, discussing this with other people, is we now have a better idea of our own personal space, and what is max capacity for the XL is not comfortable for a lot of people. But you can't expect comfortable at a public event. I go to festivals with hundreds of thousands of people. I know for a fact that if I go to the front, I'm going to be crushed. It's going to be busy.
Yeah.
It's going to be a can of worms, like a tube on a busy night, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think people have realized, especially the newer people to the scene, have realized that is just 100% standard post COVID. They haven't been to these events that have been a shit show. So it's really tricky because, I was on the Saturday in the hall in a ball gown. I accepted that people were going to stand on me. It's part and parcel. I just apologize and move on. They apologize, we move on. But historically, my group of friends, we go on the Friday for our shopping. We go on the Sunday to browse the hall and do whatever we want to kind of have a chill day. And then the Saturday we spent all outside because inside the hall for the last 10 years has been too busy to be in costume.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, being prepared and self-aware is just like something people seem to be missing a bit, because I deliberately went inside on Friday and Sunday, and I did not go inside at all on Saturday except to grab some water, because it's going to be busy. So the people that turn up and are more surprised by that, I am confused by, because if you've gone to more than one con, Saturday, if you're doing a weekend, just write it off. Just do something fun for yourself.
Absolutely. I just want to bring up one thing. I wonder the perception of it being more busy than usual, because I think they opened up more halls this time round. So I wonder if because of that they said, because we've got more halls, we can open up capacity. Because again, another thing I forgot to mention about in the last podcast is that they actually used the Diamond Suite in the middle of the concourse area to like utilize. Like there was like
what's that? Sorry.
I think it's called the Diamond Suite area or the Platinum Suite. It's basically
that's the industry. That's for the board game area and the industry.
Exactly.
Lounge.
So yeah, I wonder if they included that as capacity as well, and things like that. So I wonder because of that, and also obviously they're going to have more space, they're going to have more people because of, shall we say, events, the tectonic events of like both TikTok, Big Bang Theory, and things like that, Marvel, and that's exploding and allow more people to be inclusive in our community. Obviously,
the scene is expanded. The Platinum Suites only adds an extra 1,000 people to capacity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to say is that because of that, obviously Comic-Con are trying to like monopolize that good vibe of like, oh my god, Comic-Con, let's go, and things like that. So yeah.
I think it's worth managing your expectations, and it's so worth having these conversations, because like you need to hold companies accountable, or at least just chat about it.
Yeah.
What I don't like is the people that complain so much about it, like you said earlier, that are going to go anyway. Like if you're going to go anyway, have a measured debate like this. It's the people that are just shouting about it that are slightly irritating.
So just for funsies, I went back a few years on Trustpilot.
Yeah,
it has been at least since 2020 that people have been complaining about how busy it is, right? So it's a historical issue, but people forget. It's almost like short-term memory syndrome. They had such a good time, and then they go, oh, but actually it was too busy. And then they go to the next one, and it's the same thing over and over again.
Because I remember, was it coming out on the Saturday after having lunch at the Fox? I came out and I went, oh, there's a lot of people here. It's like, literally, I couldn't see the ground. I just saw cosplay heads everywhere. There was not one bit of ground. By the time I got to ground level near the tree area, I went, okay, it is busy, but it's not like uncomfortably I can't move. Like I could try to find some places to photo shoot. I was like thinking really hard to find some photographic places. So yeah.
But yeah, I think Garl's video on TikTok also highlights another thing, which people are like, oh well, it's too busy to get to vendors' tables, but for vendors, like my friends who sell, this is still the biggest event. They make the most profit margins at this event because people come to buy stuff. And it's the biggest selection. So it makes sense that it's going to have that kind of footfall because it's drawing in the people that we want to buy from.
It is also half term, which I think people who don't have kids or don't know people with kids don't know. it always falls the first weekend of half term, which is why that Saturday has so many kids there and the Friday is so quiet. Because Friday is the adults who get the time off from work, and Saturday is families.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
So if anyone's ever like, why is Friday more quiet? That's literally why they schedule it too full with British summer half term.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to move it on, but before I move it on, the video that I'm referring to on Giles Bones TikTok, which I will actually link it if I remember into the description, but if I forget, it's titled MCM London versus MegaCon, AnimeCon, Hyper Japan, and LCC. That's a very, in my opinion, balanced argument to why you shouldn't be just giving shit about, overcrowdedness, this, that, and the other, just to repop MCM London, because the others, in a sense, do the exact same thing, and then for some reason, repop get the most shit for it, and everyone kind of gets off the hook for it. But anyway, I'll try to link that in, and there are some really good discussions in that. So please go there. There's another one I think that back then was not any better. That's another good one about crowd control. Anyway, I'm going to move along, and we're going to talk about, this is what Charlotte was referring to earlier, which is, so I got sent this a couple of days ago from a friend that saw it on Papercube's stories, and basically saying industry passes now. If you apply for an industry pass, they are going to charge you £25 for the privilege of having this ticket. Now, I assume that will also be affecting both press and creator passes. Now, believe you me, if it's going to happen to industry passes this coming October 2013, my God, I wish it was 2013, 2023, it's going to migrate to press and creator passes soon. When soon, I don't know. It's going to happen. So I'm prepared myself that sometime in the future, a cost will be placed on these press passes. I'll just talk about industry passes at the moment. I'm on their website right now, and for what I can read and see, it's basically for those who are using it to like maybe. Let me read it. So welcome to industry. So MCM Comic Con welcomes industry professionals across the full spectrum of pop culture. It's happy to provide a professional ticket to provide artists, buyers, creators, editors, educators, librarians, licensors, producers, publishers, retailers. There's a whole list here. Subject to approval. This includes Comic Con, film, TV. All right. MCM is working to expand and growing our offering for industry badge holders. So I'm really bad at reading. I do apologize. I'll start that again. MCM is working on expanding and growing our offerings for industry badges holders, including networking opportunities, lounge off for the show floor, industry-led panels. Because of this, industry passes are no longer complimentary, but instead a significant discount on public tickets, whilst allowing us to further invest in the area, content, and benefits for all industry badge holders at MCM. So effectively, they are identifying, saying that the industry is used for networking with other panelists, industries, artists, content creators, things like that. That's what they're seeing that, and they're saying, right, we've got to cut our cloth accordingly. We're going to charge you for 3 days, £25 plus VAT. £25 plus VAT. Now, I'm going to pretend that this cost is going to apply to both press and creator passes, just for this experiment. I don't mind paying £25. If I had a choice between, and if I had to be told I had to pay between £25 and £95, I'll happily pay £25. Obviously, that's the cheaper price, okay? Anyone has gotten their high horses and said, oh my God, they're charging. So, yeah. Do you know why? It pisses me off that when I see certain people with these passes around their necks and it looks like they do fuck all, and I mean it, fuck all, at a Comic-Con event, they're getting a free ride and they fucking boast about it. I fucking see it every time. It really grinds my gear. It boils my blood. But I just want to... Anyway. And I think this will stop people thinking of getting a free ride now getting to Comic-Con. Because for me, I work damn hard about earning not my current press pass, but for my next press pass. I work damn hard to make sure that I promote the event at every opportunity when I share a photo. I share a daily cosplay photo every day. When it's an MCM event, bam, it's tagged. I don't know how much my influence is to say, hey, I took this picture at an MCM event. and then I was going, oh my God, if this was taken at MCM, I want to be at that event. I have no metrics to say that is happening at all. But I am showing MCM, I am putting the F in to want to go to your event with a press pass. Here's the work to prove it for the next one, not the current one, because in my head, I've already worked hard enough at that press pass. But when I see others who are gleefully boasting about it, say, I got a free press pass, and I'm like, yeah, but where's your work? But also, and I'm going to get hate for this, I'm also a bit miffed that anyone who like complained they didn't get a press pass, creator pass, or industry pass this time and then got denied for the event just gone. It's like, what? Sorry to sound like I'm spouting, I'm on a soapbox type, and I sound privileged, but what privilege do you have based on your previous acceptance? Because, like I just said, if you're not putting the effort in to prove yourself for the next event, why would they give you one previously? Just because you got one previously, that means for me, that proves nothing to me. It's what you do for the next one. I've always said that, and that's my mentality about a press pass for me. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. So what, Luna, I know I keep starting with Luna, but I think part of this podcast is because of you, Luna.
Yay.
Yes. So what's your opinion on this £25? Do you agree with what I'm saying, or was there another opinion you want to add to it?
No, I absolutely agree. So I get an industry pass because I work in the games industry. So what they are actually doing with that £25 is giving us an exclusive lounge that has panels, networking events, marketing events, like how to do social media, etc. Hopefully I don't get blacklisted for this because I don't know if everybody has access to this information, but I had a long list of things that I could attend throughout Comic Con and in the evenings that my industry pass would give me that no one else gets. So paying £25 for a whole bunch of industry events is really cool, and I think it should be the standard. And as for content creators, they have, according to the website, they've upped the requirements for being able to get one. It took me 45 minutes on Friday to get my goddamn industry pass because there was that many content creators in the queue who are openly mocking the fact that they got it for free in front of the booth before they'd even got their passes. So that is a crackdown because it's ridiculous.
100%.
This makes me so like upset because I have had I think I got content once when I just randomly applied. It was maybe like 3-4 years ago before COVID. I got it once. It was amazing. I was doing the same thing I usually do. I shot 200 people that weekend because I wanted to earn. I was like, I'm basically here to work now. They've given me a free ticket. I'm going to earn my keep. Shot 200 people, tagged MCM in every post I put up about it. Made like a day in the life at MCM video as well. Worked for it. Since then, the number of people I've seen that have, and I haven't got one since, and I haven't applied every year actually, but since then, the number of people I've seen that have got content creator that have said just like throwaway phrases to me like, oh, well, I wasn't going to come, but then I got a content creator badge, so I thought I might come down for an evening and drink with people, like just see what's happening. It really makes me cross because that's what gives everyone else a bad name. If you're applying for a content creator pass, in my opinion, you should be intending to make content not just at the con, but almost advertising the con to an extent. At the very least, showing up in an incredible costume if you're a cosplayer, and like, you know, showing yourself at the event having a great time because they've given you a free pass in exchange for publicity. It's not because they love you or think you're great. It's purely because you have something they want to like see you make. So when so many people take the creator passes, and I'm sure MCM get very few actual videos being like, this is what I did at MCM, they're going to start raising the requirements, making the rules more specific. And not only that, you're rubbing it in the face of everyone who applied and didn't get it and still goes out and makes that content. So if they introduced a cost, I'd be more than happy to pay it. I do think like after TikTok, cosplay has exploded, and actually some of the biggest players in cosplay at the moment are people that came from TikTok 2 or 3 years ago, which is entirely fair. They've worked just as hard as the rest of us. It's a few people ruining it for everyone, but there's something needs to change for people to kind of wake up and realize it's not a gift, like it is an exchange of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just makes me cross when I shoot at every con and then I hear people being like, oh, I just popped down for the evening because I got it for free. You know, I'm like, well, I've paid that, 80 quid in a hotel to be here
Yeah.
to promote them, and you're getting the pass and you just don't want to do anything with it.
Now, I will say one thing before I'll ask Charlotte another question. New York Comic Con employs the same tactic. If you want to get a press pass, you still have to pay for it, but at a reduced cost. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm happy with that. Charlotte, I just want to ask one more thing before we move on to the next subject. If MCM kind of like announced their criteria about what would qualify for industry, press, and creator, do you think that'll actually help or actually exacerbate the situation of who applies and who doesn't?
I think it's with I work in social media and marketing for people that don't know, and we often give out free stuff from work to people. And the way that we do it, and I think a lot of marketing people do it, is you want the maximum amount of people to see your product or event, right? So of course you will go straight to the top and offer people with the most amount of followers who post the most free event tickets, for example, or products, so that because if they post that they're there, people will probably want to come. But also you want some of the smaller people so that some like of the smaller groups see it as an accessible way to do it. So they want you to apply for creator and they want to give it to a wide variety of people. I think they have now brought in and said, like, if you've got more than X amount of followers, they want you to apply, or it was something like that. So they're starting to mention it, but I don't think there should be requirements. I think there should be more of an understanding from the people applying that it's not just a numbers game, and you have to some extent just be like, whether or not I get it, I'm happy with it.
Because Luna, what I want to have your thoughts before I chime in.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at what their current things are. So they've actually put on here, note, due to increased popularity in the recent years, our content creator pass is now very limited. And they've got the qualification here, which is like size of social media on at least 2+ platforms. They look at the level of your engagement, previous posts and promotion of attendance at MCM, and a reason as to why you wanted to go. So those are kind of the things that I would expect them to have. Because that's a wide net, right? And it particularly, they're looking for people that cover anime, cosplay, comics, or anything directly relevant to MCM. So it's what I would expect. Like if I was in their shoes, that's what I would be looking at. However, I think those are going to narrow down even more, because TikTok gives people the ability to have massive audiences even with little effort. And so you're going to have to start putting in those metrics as to how many engagements are on this video, how many videos are they creating, how many comments are they getting, value for money, unless they start charging for them, in which a whole bunch of people who were getting free rides will drop off. It all makes logical sense from a business standpoint to me.
I think you don't want to give people a full list though, because then people are just trying to game the system. So there are already people going, if they need X amount, I'll pay for it just to get over that threshold. Or if they if they get the engagement up, they'll do it in certain ways. So I think the more info you give people, the more you are opening up to people that are desperate will play it.
Yeah, I think their who qualifies list is vague enough that people can't quite game it. But I do get this overwhelming suspicion with the influx of how many people get content creators right at the end on the build up to Comic-Con, that they just stop paying attention and they just go, yeah, they applied, sod it, go.
Yeah.
Because there was just so many. This Comic-Con was potentially the highest volume of content creators I've encountered.
Yeah, because what I was going to chime in was that I'm still on the, like, my brain's still like saying Instagram is the biggest platform. And we all know you can buy your followship. So saying, if you have more than 100,000 followers, you're in. So, if that the case, then let me buy that. And you can buy the pennies, by the pound to buy your followers. And if they did it on that metrics, I think the whole system will just fall apart, because everyone will just buy the followers and then be able to get a free pass. And I'm not saying I don't want to see the criterias. I think you're right. The way they've got it at the moment, which I didn't realise they were there this time round, it's vague enough so that it gives people kind of an idea, but not saying the specific way to somehow gain the system or beat the system, shall we say.
I think the company has to reserve the right and enough anonymity to be able to make up their own minds behind the scenes without people being able to be like, well, actually, I meet all your criteria. But like, I think people just need to calm the fuck down. Most of the people that apply, I'm sorry for swearing on your podcast, but fuck me.
I swear all the time, fuck that. Yeah, fuck it.
Most of the people that apply for content creator, and this, I don't care if I'm cancelled for this, if they don't get it, will pay to go to the event anyway. And MCM know that. Yeah. So if they don't give you a content pass, they make 100 quid from you straight up. So they're not going to give everyone a content pass because you're going to go anyway and you're going to pay anyway just to see your friend. So you know what? If you're going to go, calm the fuck down. If you don't get a content creator pass, shut up. And if you do get one, work for it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move it on. And that's all right. It's no problem. 100%. I'll back that. I endorse that. Anyway, I'm going to move it on. Now, this may not be such a huge thing that people were just talking about, but I saw it and it got me thinking. So, again, another TikTok video I saw, and basically they were talking about the water stations at the Excel. So what they were saying was, oh my God, MCM were advertising those water stations throughout, but there was only 4. I'm like, okay, is that a big deal? Now, it was a hot day over the 3-day weekend. I get that everyone's going to get water. Everyone's going to go, oh my God, it's hot. I need to get some water. And I can understand that people going, oh, if I'm going to get water, someone else is getting water. And this line then appears at these 4 water stations. There was one at each end of the complex, plus another 2 in the middle in the concourse, around about S4, S6 type of area. And then I think if you ask maybe some vendors as well, they could offer some water. Because I went to the Fox, I went, cheekily said, can you fill this up with water? I went, of course, filled it up. So I found a way to kind of like jump the system a little bit. But it got me thinking about why this person got so mad about the point that they advertised those water stations, and yet was still disappointed at the same token. Like, well, yes, it was a hot day. Of course, people are going to queue up for it. But also, if they put a water station every 5 steps, you probably complain, oh my God, why do they... Sorry to keep saying, oh my God. My sister mentioned it to me, like, said, you say, oh my God, a lot. And like, that's my opening statement. Anyway, oh goodness, that why is there a water station every 5 steps? And it's not plumbed in, so there's got to be someone who keeps topping up the water bottle somehow. And it's going to create more. It's going to create more chaos with people going through the crowds. And then once the water runs out, they're just going to ignore it anyway. So
it's just good they provide it.
Yeah, but it's not Britpop that provided it. It was the Excel that had provided it.
Because when it's that hot, you don't want people to pass out. But also, like, I don't think I've seen many venues offer it before. And like Starbucks and stuff will give you free ice water if you ask. But yeah. I think it's just good they had a place to do it. I mean, whether you have to queue or not is irrelevant. It's good that they had free water available.
Yeah, and I'm sure I've seen it like year on year, so it's always been there. It's just that because it was a hot day or hot weekend, it kind of exacerbated the situation that people wanted water. Again, Luna was talking about this in the green room. That actually, I'll let you again. I should not take the words from your mouth. You say it.
Oh, genuinely.
About the queuing.
The queuing, yeah. So we wanted water at 3:00 on the Saturday, busiest day of the week, right? It's a couple of hours before the show closes, so everybody's coming back in to do some shopping. Took 10 minutes. It was a queue of like 40 people, 30, 40 people. Took 10 minutes. No problem. And Starbucks will fill it up for you. The Fox will fill it up for you. Like I see people's argument of, oh, it's very crowded. What if I was going to pass out? There's a Costa inside the middle of the Excel. They'll fill it up for you. You are going to have to wait because everybody is in the same situation. It sucks. And I understand that people can't carry 2 liters, 4 liters of water with them. But at a festival, we're really limited as to where we can get water. You get alcohol from the bar, they'll give you water, but you've got to find one. And at the front of the barriers of a festival, they'll have water tanks and they'll fill those up, fill water up for you there. But again, it's not a given. You don't expect it.
People just got really entitled because a lot of the complaints I've had this con is that Oh, I had to queue for something. Like, and I understand the overcrowding on Saturday even concerned me a bit. And everyone's like, especially if you had like accessibility issues, it's annoying. But I had a lot of people like my age, fit and healthy, just in slightly warm costumes, complaining about having to queue or having to wait behind someone, or saying like they couldn't just walk straight through. Like, you're at an event with 25,000 other people or some mad number. You cannot get from A to B in the most practical way that you would if it was empty. And I don't
Everyone else
understand.
is in
Like,
exactly the same situation
it's
as
so
you.
mad. It's so mad to me that we're saying that people have complained about there being free water available at a venue. Very few places in the UK do that. So the fact that the XL does that is mind blowing anyway. So, like, can everyone just fucking chill out?
You have no idea how much I agree with you with that, both of you. So I know this is going to anger a lot of people, and I know this sounds very biased towards Repop, but I just think it's easy to jump on Repop and say how shit they were, and there are areas that they are shit at. You know, like we mentioned about security. Yeah, okay, it's employed by Excel, but Repop it's under their care to kind of like explain to the security people, look, these are just nerds. Please treat them with care. If you're going to handle props, be gentle. They may be delicate, things like that. You know, with the water situation, they can't just go to the Excel and go, can you put another 8 more in? That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Oh, you want us to pay for it? Oh. So it's like, again, that's just a level of realism that needs to be employed at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I also
But
saw people on the same vein as the water thing complaining about the drinks prices inside the hall. I'm like, okay, you've been to any venue in London?
Yeah.
Because I bought free drinks from the O2 Forum on fucking like Friday, and it was £33, right? So if you're in London,
It's going to be
expect drinks to be
expensive.
expensive. It's now
yeah.
more expensive than anywhere else. They're not bumping the prices because you're a nerd.
I think
Full stop.
the only people that I would legitimately be annoyed with out of the whole MCM weekend and everything you do there is the hotels, because the hotels are taking the piss. And that's because they know a huge amount of people are going to be there and have to stay near it, so they put the prices up. Apart from that, I would say everyone's within reason actually just being normal, and everyone's just got really used to complaining.
I do wonder if a lot of this is just bandwagoning at this
Yeah.
point, though. Like, wait until the next shit show at the next event, and it'll be them that's the worst thing in the world. But right now, because it's getting the traction on TikTok and people are getting the hits and the followers because everyone's like, oh, well, it's also shit. If it's just spiraling as negative press does.
Yeah. I think I full
Yeah.
well might make a video just saying, like, this is how my MCM was, and be like, oh, this is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I said this in the podcast extra. I had a really great time, and I'm sorry that others didn't. And I fully not. And again, I keep saying this: their values are not their values. Their opinions are valid, and I'm not going to disagree with them. If you had a shit time, you had a shit time. I can't convince you any otherwise. But it's just unfortunate that we both have polarizing opinions on that. But talking about polarizing opinions and talking about other cons, there's now a new narrative that I've been hearing, which it really winds me up, because again, I mentioned this in podcast extra, so I'm ruining my own content. So if you if you paid for my Patreon and didn't hear the podcast extra, you're about to hear it now. So literally a week before MCM London started, they released their prices for October. MegaCon Line then announced, "Hey guys, don't worry about that. We're coming to London now in January 2024." And a lot of people went, fantastic, great, fuck MCM. I'm glad this is coming. I'm going in January. It's going to be like the old days, like the MCM, because it's run by the old MCM people. Damn, I can't wait to go down there. I'm going to get on my soapbox again, so prepare for a rant. Have you been to MegaCon Birmingham? Have you been to one?
No.
Do you really think it's the exact same level as an MCM convention? It is not. It is not in the same vein, the same theme, the same target audience, what MCM are doing compared to what MegaCon Live is. Yes, you can turn up in cosplay, 100%. It's not a cosplay event, either event. It's not targeted as cosplay events. They just include cosplay. Okay? I've been to the first and second MegaCon Birmingham. They have improved between cons, but it's still relatively small compared to everything else. Also, what comes with MegaCon Live is Talkfest. Again, I reviewed this when we did the Birmingham one. So many comments about how TikTokers were being offensive towards cosplayers. Like, they really turned up their nose up for that. Oh, guess what? What's happening at Excel London in January when MegaCon Live is happening? That's right, Talkfest will be there. Also, what's going to be there? Social in the City. Also, what's going to be a Kid Chocolate. You're going to have four-pronged events at the same location. I don't think people have realised that this is not going to be the exact same event as one, MCM London, or two, it's just solely MegaCon Live. I don't think some people have quite worked it out. I also don't think having it in January, 2-3 weeks after Christmas Day, people are going to have, yay, I have money to spend on merchandise inside the halls. They're not going to have money for that. They may be able to pay for the tickets ahead of time, pay for hotels ahead of time, travel maybe ahead of time. But merchandise, I don't think you're going to get many people spending money straight after Christmas. That is my soapbox. I'm going to step off before I get hurt.
I don't really know how I feel about it, to be honest, because I just like the fact that there are more options, because at the moment, for me, I'm down south. If you couldn't tell by my accent, I live down south. And there's the two big London ones, and then there's the two Birmingham ones, which I go to. And because I don't really do guests, I don't really do LFCC. So I'm more just pleased that there's another event where I can probably just go meet my friends at, if not do photos, and I'm always here for a bit of a mix-up. So it's probably going to be a different event, and I'm almost pleased just to have like the option of something else. So it's very much like a wait and see on my table.
And that's fine. If you're just like the wait and see thing, I have no issue with that. Great, that's fine. It's the people that go, oh, it's going to be like good old days when it was MCM run by the old,
So
the previous
did
owners and
MegaCon
things
used
like
to
that.
run? I'm confused. Is this Showmasters
So
again?
no. So MegaCon Live, the people who currently run it used to own MCM before Repop took over.
Okay, I did not know that.
Oh, that's fine. It's not a problem. It's not. It depends who you talk to. It's common knowledge in that circle. But like I said, I've been to 2 Birmingham events now. I haven't been to the Manchester one. I was meant to go last year, but I had such chronic fatigue at that point. I went, I have to just not go. I was burning out both at work and Comic Con, so I just took that one off. But I don't know. I'm not saying MegaCon Live is a shit event. I just don't have, in my personal opinion, a very high opinion of it at the moment, because I keep saying this. I don't know what its targeted demographic is beyond aimed at kids and families. That's it, really. Luna, I think you haven't been to a MegaCon event, so before I just said any of that, what was your perceived notion of it?
I don't see it being on par, which is what a lot of people are like. It's going to be the same level as. It's not. Right, it's nice to see some competition or potential competition, because the UK doesn't have anything else that really lives up to it. EGX is a game festival; it's not the same thing, even though it's at the Excel as well. With every adult ticket, you get 2 children's tickets for free if they're 10 or under for MegaCon Live. Looking at their website, so it's a family event.
Yeah,
It's 100% going to be swarming with families and TikTokers, and the social in the city event I know was really busy the last time that was hosted as well. So I think this event is going to be probably equally as crowded, especially because it's a lot more affordable for people. So I'll be interested to see what happens. I might go just to see what the hype is about it, because it does seem to be a level of hype building. But I've been doing conventions now for more than a decade. I have seen the worst of the worst and the best, and I expect this to be kind of in the middle ground.
I think it does so well in Birmingham because it's in a good location. So
I
I
think
think when you
I
take
think
the location
everything.
out of it, it
Yeah,
won't be as good, but it'll still be great.
I think everything up north, poor Birmingham. It's not actually; it's Midlands. But there's such a lack of conventions once you head further up, because everything is London based, other than the smaller ones, like HotaruCon in Milton Keynes, new to the scene, but a much smaller event scale wise. it's going to be hard to measure up to what Comic-Con is. And I think that's why this is going to kick off, because MCM realistically has a monopoly in London for this kind of event. But it's mixed. I think people are thinking that the grass is going to be greener, and I realistically don't see how it's going to avoid any of the issues that MCM has and that people are currently complaining about.
Yeah, I think the biggest plus would be the more conventions there are, the more legitimacy it gives to like the whole cosplay industry as a whole. And we're already seeing that like more cosplayers are being taken seriously when genuinely looking for jobs in like film, or being invited into like industry conversations. So just the more stuff there is about, the better it'll be for all of us. We've killed Eddie.
No, oh right, no, sorry, I'm still here. I'm still, no. Like you said, it's good to have choice in everything. I'm not trying to say having more choice is bad. I'm all for choice. My only gripe about what people are talking about it right now, I'm all for praising it, bigging it up and all that, no problem. I'm just saying again about the MCM, shitting them down for all the crap they do. Temper your expectations. If you've not been to a MegaCon, you don't expect it to be similar to MCM. Also, I just think it's the wrong time of the month.
Oh god, yeah, I'm going to be broke.
The year.
Yeah, it's a weird time to have a con, but my first thought was temperature-wise, it might be great for some of the costumes that it's normally too hot for me to wear.
Unless it's wet.
Exactly.
Don't talk to me.
It's exactly. Right. My thoughts were, if they just actually moved the Birmingham one to a different date later in the year, maybe just before the summer, and then have the January one in the March slot, you still got a big gap between March and May. That if people want to go to both, people can still go to both without breaking their bank. If you had it obviously in April, and there will be a decision of shit, can I go to that? Like this year, you had Cos Expo, Star Wars Celebration, and I think there was a third one I can't remember, all one after the other, and that kind of like killed everyone's bank account. Yeah. So oh no, maybe no, I've got it wrong way around. It was like MegaCon Live, Star Wars, Cos Expo, and then Star Wars Celebration
being it was 1 week before con.
Yeah. Yes.
2 weeks.
No, I think it was in that order. It's 2 weeks, something like that. And that killed everyone's bank account. So there's a bit of a gap, things like that. I'm just saying, I think people are bigging up so much when I don't think, in my personal opinion, it's going to be as magical everyone else is going to make it to be. I don't think what I'm saying is going to resonate with people. I think they're going to go, you're talking absolute bullshit, Ed. You're talking out your ass. You're wrong. I'm like, okay, fine, that's fine. I probably will end up going because one, it's in a sense for me, it's a local con. I can take a train ride over there, but I'm not expecting to be seeing both sides of the hall filled with Comic-Con stuff. Now knowing there's 3 other things going on there, it's going to be one side, one part of it YouTube stuff, one part of it TikTok, one part of it family-friendly Comic-Con stuff-esque, and the other Kitropolis. That's what's going to happen, and I just think with all that mixed all into one, I think there's going to be a bigger issue approaching, which again, it's going to be similar to how the TikTokers went, oh my god, look at all these cosplay. YouTubers might have the same thing. I think it's going to be something like that.
Go just because it's Kidtropolis, and that's what you belong with.
I wonder if they have an indoor play area. That'd be great.
Can you imagine Eddie playing on a little inflatable slide or something?
Look, just because I'm a size of a child doesn't mean I am a child.
We're all children here.
But as a side, we need a selfie of all of us in the soft play area.
Yes, there's I think in Portsmouth, an adult play area, like soft toy, and you can drink alcohol there. But yeah, as an aside, like it's interesting to see the TikTok stuff at an event. So I don't know if you guys found it at Comic-Con at MCM. There was an entire area for TikTok specifically for opening like Pokemon cards live on the TikTok shop.
Oh my god!
It had such a weird vibe to it at MCM.
Yes, it was weird, man. Like
it was like fucking strange.
It was like having QVC there. Like, why have you got online shopping if I can't even shop while I'm here, don't get me wrong, I'm all here for TikTok stuff, and I used to go to Comic-Con for YouTubers because it was lovely having the YouTubers there. So I'd welcome having more YouTubers back and more TikTokers, but having like TikTok shop was bizarre. I was like, what are you doing here? Can you
Like, it was so odd. I went by one and they were like, "Oh, do you use TikTok shop?" And I was like, "Yes, it's actually a personal weakness of mine." And they're like, "Oh, well, if you wanted to buy something now, we'd actually give you this code if you follow this person who's opening booster packs, and then we'll take your photo and print you one of those god awful Polaroid things." I was like, "No." And they were like, "Oh, but you use the TikTok shop." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not giving him a like for free just because you want me to take a photo here." I wandered off. I was really annoyed by it, but it had such a weird vibe, right? If it had a weird vibe at MCM, it's going to be strange at MegaCon.
I'm looking forward to it. The weirder the better. Everyone gets too comfortable at con now. I'm like, oh my god, weird shit's happening. Sign me up.
Love it. But yeah, the TikTok shop stuff was fucking strange.
And on that note, I'm going to end the podcast.
I fucking need TikTok shop to pay me. Please don't cancel me.
Don't cancel her, but also hire her.
I will chill for you happily on this podcast.
Oh, gee. Anyway, I'm going to have to come up with something on the podcast extra. Maybe we continue this conversation a little bit further. So if you want to listen to that, go to my Patreon. But on that note, thank you very much, Luna and Charlotte, for talking about this. I hope someone took away something from this, and I hope people are not. I don't know if I'm preaching to the choir already, or I've converted some people's mind. Going, oh, maybe I was maybe I'm overreacted, maybe. But anyway, who knows? Anyway, Luna, if people need to find you on the social medias, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm Askaluna, Askaluna. I spent all of Comic-Con spelling it out for people. That's across the board.
Fantastic. And Charlotte Woolrich, have you found your Twitter yet? And can I then say where can they where can they find you on the social medias?
They can find me at www.charlottewoolrichphotography.com, which is my online portfolio information and my blog for posing tips, etc. You can also find me on most social medias at Charlotte Woolrich, spelled WOOLRYCH _cosplay, or Charlotte Woolrich _photography if you want to find me. And on Twitter, I am at CXWoolrichPhoto.
Amazing. If people need to find me on the social medias, go to foodandcosplay.org/links. That's where you'll find my social media links there, including TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and all that malarkey. If you go to foodandcosplay.org generally, you'll find daily cosplay photos, articles, and cosplay stuff. Let's go that way. If you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you can listen to previous recorded podcasts with these two lovely ladies, plus other guests, plus other subjects. I will try not to obviously do crossover podcasts like I just did today. If you go to patreon.com/foodandcosplay, you can donate £2 and you can listen to the current podcast lecture that I still have yet to discuss. So it'll be a huge mystery to what it got. Let's face it, it's going to be mayhem anyway. So come over and listen, and you can listen to other previous podcast lectures. I think there's about, I'm going to say 6 now. 6 podcast lectures you can listen to. But that's going to keep growing more and more. So come on over, have a listen. At least that's as a thank you for helping out with these podcasts. So on that note, thank you very much, ladies, for being on the podcast. I'm going to say goodbye, and they're going to say goodbye. So bye, guys!
Bye!
Bye! Bye! Bye! Bye! Bye!